All right, well, good morning, Chattanooga Goblins. This is the virtual team meeting for our spring 2024 race. Again, being held out at Volkswagen, just like the last two. All right, so let's kind of just try to make this quick and go through the information that you'll need. Again, if you ever have a question on something, feel free to contact Bryce or Elizabeth at Green Spaces. Bryce is now the dedicated runner of the Green Prix at Green Spaces. So he's the shell answer man. Okay. As far as location, again, the same place. If you know where Redoubt is, you know where the Amazon warehouse is. Come in Volkswagen Drive, 3/4 of the way around the roundabout, then your first access road, which has a name, but I can't remember it at this point. Follow that around, and you'll see the whole setup here in the location. Same as the last two. Okay, hard to miss because there's a lot of stuff set up out there. As far as the overall, this spectator area trailer parking has been graveled in, plenty of parking. We're going to set up a spectator area with the big tent like we did last year. Your pits, and for the Goblins, it's usually not as big of a deal. Your car, you can have a support vehicle, your pop-up, etc. And just, don't be a hog of space. There should be enough room. And then the courses themselves will be over in this section, right? This is an older map, but it works, so that's why I'm using it. You've got the directions as to how the Dragon Slalom works. So again, we're going to have that kind of pre-staging area where you guys hang out in between the different rounds. And let's say, again, we have 12 Goblins, just notionally. That would give you 11 heats, so you'd race Dragon Slalom against every other car. Okay? Hang out there. You will have a sheet that shows your heats for each round. So be prepared to go. Now you'll come up and stage for the drag race. There'll be a chalk line, put the front wheels on, and then a second chalk line, and that's where when the pusher gets over that second chalk line, you let go, right? If there's a foul start, somebody either jumps the start or pushes well beyond that second chalk line, then we'll blow the horn, reset, and you get a second attempt. But if you jump the start on the second attempt, that's going to be a disqualified for the drag race. Okay, so don't do that. And let's not give the starters and the finishing judges any guff about, hey, that team took an extra half a step. This is supposed to be fun. We don't have laser beam exploding, you fouled the start kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a human endeavor. So you line up, bam, down the drag race. You'll see checkered flags and finish line judges down there. As soon as you do that, off the gas, on the brake, and we'll have a person help walk you around this corner and get set up for the slalom, which will function exactly the same, except now it's a drag race with curves, and you navigate through, and we'll put the chalk lines out to kind of give you an idea. Those chalk lines aren't mandatory. They're just to help you visually see where the different gates are as you move down the track. Okay, same starting procedure. Remember too that drag race, push around, slalom race, back to your staging area, and that's where you would do a driver change. So the best option is teams have one pusher, have them push the car up and get ready for the drag, and then have a second pusher over here for the slalom, right? And it gives everybody on the team stuff to do. This infield section, we typically have that open for teams, spectators, etc. But you have to stay away from the hot track. So there's a small area in the middle to cheer your team on. Okay, I think that's it. I'll talk about cones displaced. Right, the idea, the drag race, is just straight a set of cones, so don't hit any on that one. In the slalom, as you go through, you want to have the cones looking like this when you finish. Okay, if you hit a cone and somehow miraculously it's still in any form touching the box that was around it, not a penalty. Okay, you were lucky. You want to give yourself enough room to not do that. However, if you hit a cone and it completely displaces outside of the chalk box that it's in, or if it's knocked down and it doesn't matter where it is, once it's knocked over, that's a penalty. And that means you're disqualified. The team's disqualified for that one segment. Okay, so you may have won the drag race, good, and now you hit a cone on the slalom. The other team's going to win that heat, but you've got a whole series of them. So don't panic. You hit a cone, it happens, right? Just figure out why, maybe do it better next time. And when I get to the end, I'll remind you guys, there's a video out there that we put together to talk about some of that sloppiness that was in the Goblin wheels that can affect your steering and make it much less precise, which is usually why cones get knocked over. So chalk line, looking ahead out in front of you, and do the best you can. When you finish the slalom, this one's a little more critical. Yeah, you're going to slow down, stop, and get pushed around the corner. This one, you're coming back into a very congested area. So you definitely want to stop by the stop sign and have your team come pick the car up, not literally, just push it and get back to your little staging area, and that's where you can effect a driver change. And you should have 5, 6, 7 minutes because all these other heats are going to be going on, and you can get ready for your next race. Well, I mentioned that if a car has a malfunction that's readily fixable, shall we say, we're going to try our best to allow that team to make repairs. So that may mean that if you're against that car that's being fixed, you may slip down the order from what's on the sheet itself. Just roll with it. Don't hassle the folks in the staging area because we're trying to do the best by everybody. It may be your car that's broken and you'll appreciate that. If it's a long-term fix where the car's done, maybe through lunch and hopefully ready for the afternoon, then we'll just have to give them the other team a free pass on that one, right? Well, let's hope none of the cars go hard broken, that they're fixable. All right. So here's the overview of the course. I know this is a little bit detailed, but you can see here's where the drag race would be, around the corner, slalom race, okay? And then the oval track's this outside portion. Ignore this little bow hook. That's for the F24 course. So you guys will be able to, in the morning, get in, get registered, tech, etc., and then go out and take a look at the course and just look and ignore the cones because those will be gone over lunchtime for what the oval track will look like, and pay particular attention to the pit entry as you come in. Okay. All right, that's it for the slides. Let's go through some of the online material. So I always harp on the green spaces, right? Go to Chattanooga Green Prix. It'll take you to the Green Prix page. And then scroll down to Advisor Resources. Okay? And that's where, again, scroll down and you can see everything for the Goblins is on the left-hand side. The schedule, which we'll look at shortly. This is new, disassembly, reassembly policy, and I'll show you what it looks like. It's a 5-point bonus to try to infuse more STEM back into the program, but it steps you through the process if you want to try for the 5-point bonus, how to do that. So you're going to disassemble, take some pictures, etc. Right? And then this will be updated, course map will be updated, and then while I'm at it, I'll just scroll all the way down. Remember, there's these training videos, so our new video will be replacing the fall one, the race prep video, some ideas on getting the car ready, and this was the one I was talking about, loose wheels and crazy steering, and it had to do with wear and sloppiness on the Goblin, especially front axles, where the wheels were wobbling around, and it affected the steering on some of the cars, and you could see it visually where the driver was trying to turn through the slalom and the car kept going kind of straight. It wasn't reacting, and then when it did, wham, it would take off, and that caused a few of the DQs on the slalom race. So take a look at that. If you have new drivers, the Green Prix Racing Basics is a good one. It goes through flags as well. And if you want to get more technical, this one's a little more focused on the F24, but it does have some Goblin material in it. And then the last one is this that Chris Sinnard and one of our teams did on how to install the brackets to give some more reinforcement to that roll bar, because we're pushing on that thing quite a bit with these drag and slalom races, and some of them are starting to crack, and we don't want that, right? Schedule. Looks a lot like last fall. I know you guys don't know which group you're in yet, but we'll divide them up. So let's just say notionally we have 12 cars. That means we'll have 11 drag and slaloms. And then in the afternoon, we'll have 2 pods, 2 groups of 6 cars. Okay. So in the morning, get in. This is always the crush, and that's why it's important to get all that paperwork done, signed, and sent to Bryce and Elizabeth at Green Spaces. It helps expedite. Once you get in, get settled, get your pit set up. Tech inspection will be open, and then the presentations will be kind of as ready. And those will look the same basically as last fall. Just anticipate a big change for fall 2024. Okay. Don't care about that. Battery station, charging station opens. You can charge in the morning up until the time we're getting ready to do the drags. And then over lunch, we've kept this in. In this lunch break, you got 1 hour honor system to charge your batteries back up, because the Goblins only get the 2 and they have to last all day. Okay, if you do have a generator and the charger that came with the car, please bring it. That helps decompress the charging area. And the other thing is 1 hour over lunch honor system. And if you do, if we, you go plus up your batteries before the racing begins Friday morning, as soon as your battery shows fully charged, get it out of there so it allows other teams. And you may plug it in and see it goes right to fully charged. That's really how it should be. Okay, so we shouldn't have much traffic at the battery charging station before the Dragon Slalom. Dragon Slalom, same driver for both, right? Drag, push, slalom, back to the driver change, and that's where you'll switch drivers if you want to. Okay, lunch break, and then here's your groups. And again, the groups are going to be, let's just say there's 6. And instead of qualifying or anything like that, what we're going to do is what we did last fall, and it seems to work, is we take the 6 cars in Group A, and then of those, 2 will get to start in the front, in the middle, and in the back, and the same for the other groups of 2. So that way every car is in the lead, middle, or trailing pack as the race starts, and that kind of even levels the playing field. The advisors will give 1, 2, 3 steps and let you go and then get out of the way, and we are going to space out. We've got that room now. We're going to space out the grid to allow a little more time so we don't kill any of our advisors, because we don't want to do that. Okay, 7 lap each, 3 total races of 7 laps. So you guys start, and we'll have the advisors. They can, after pushing you off, stay up by the SCCA trailer, and as you come around and finish that first lap, they'll give you a 6, 5, 4, and they'll count you down. And once the lead car completes that 7th lap checkered flag, it applies to the whole field. We'll look at the race order, and that'll determine points for that, and you get points for each of the 3 circuit races. Okay, and again, like in the past, kind of 50-50-50 on the points, a third each for presentation, for Dragon Slalom, for the 3 circuit races. Right, at the end, the cool part, right, giving out awards. Again, just quickly then on the pod. So Group A is out racing. We'll have Group B, drivers strapped in, ready to go, and just off track, getting ready to stage them. Group A finishes. All cars exit, go back to their pits. Group B comes out to the grid. We start that race, and while Group B is out racing, Group A can now change their drivers. Okay, there's no prohibition on changing during the race, but in a 7-lap race, if you do a driver change, you're probably going to complete 2 laps, driver change, in the last 2 laps. So again, when the first car completes 7 laps, the race is over, right? So I recommend you just do driver changes between the races. Trophies, shooting for 345, and overall, right, top 5. The Grand Prix yearly champions recognized. We will get those awards too. Those are for the teams that scored the best in the fall and the spring. Bill Perry Perseverance Award, and I think we're also going to add like a Team Spirit Award. And granted, the Perseverance Award shows quite a bit of spirit, but just one more to kind of recognize the team that kept a very good attitude. Maybe they did have some trouble, something like that. Okay, and we should be out of there fairly shortly after. This is from last fall, so don't look at the teams and the matchups, but it gives you an idea. This updated for who we have for the spring will be in your information pack, so you can see round 1, heat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's say Red Bank finishes heat 1, drag, slalom, back to the driver change. They're going to have a little bit of time as these other heats finish up to get ready to come back out for their second round. Okay, so don't dally, but you've got a little bit of time to get that new driver in the car if you're going to do it. And we will, like last year, stagger or rotate, I think you should say, lane 1, lane 2, just because we can't have it perfectly flat, unfortunately. Right. Here is the description of that 5-point bonus. I'm not going to go through it. You guys can read it, but it shows you what you do and take pictures of. And notice for the Goblins, front axle. Don't worry about the front suspension, right? There really isn't much of one. So that's specific for you guys. And there's Bryce's email at Green Spaces. This is kind of a big picture. It gives you an idea. It is mostly an oval. We try to add a little bit of a nuance to it. But that's your Goblin circuit race. So I think that's kind of all we've got. Paperwork, get that in. It'll help expedite the registration process. Give a little flex on the Dragon Slalom. as if a team has problems that we can work and massage that. But we'll make sure everybody gets their 11 heats if it's 12 cars. If we do have an odd number, we're going to have to insert that bye, where one team will get to sit out one of the rounds. It's just the way it works. Okay, and I mentioned the sloppy wheels, the different videos that are out there. Okay, lots of information on the Green Spaces website, and if you do have questions, get a hold of Bryce, get a hold of Elizabeth at Green Spaces. If you have a problem with your car and you're like, boy, we could use some help on this, I'm not sure what's wrong, let them know, and we have kind of a traveling road show. We can come out and see what's wrong, and help you try to fix your car. I will say there is not a ton of spare parts out there. Okay, so we may have to make do with what you have. It's just the backlog of Green Power itself doesn't have much in the way of spare parts for us. Okay, but we will have, typically we bring out what we have, bits and pieces, buttons, switches, things like that. So if you do run into a problem, let us know. And I've seen it before, and this would go toward that Spirit Award. Hey, our red button, our power button's not working, and a team has an extra one and gives it to the team in need. That's the kind of spirit we're looking for. Okay. Yeah, not too far off. Looking forward to cross your fingers for good weather. Okay, and see you out at the racetrack.